did I clap? Hey there, and welcome to Art School Dissections, where we take pencils and scalpels to get to the bottom of truths about art school and the art industry. My name is Maddie Gabhart, also known as Mad Gabhart online, and I'm here with
Peyton Hunt, also Broken Jaw online.
And if you'd like to take a look at our credentials, we'll have our socials and portfolios listed in the description below. But if this is your first time joining us in our studio, we're a couple of art school grads who are trying to make sense of life and art after art school. So this week, we are talking about what classes we wished were offered while we were in art school.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about our personal dreams and desires and wishes,
Longings.
our yearnings for classes that were taught. But we also took a poll from our dear followers.
Yes.
Thank y'all to those who replied to our poll. We'll get into that in the second half of the episode. But so we're pulling from a few different art school kids to get some good info.
It's not just us.
It's not just
to each other,
us.
I promise. We're getting other insights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what's your first class you wish you would have?
I think, as of right now, kind of what we're doing with the podcast and what I've been noticing and like working on my own stuff. In this day and age, I wish we had a class that was focused on social media management.
Yes.
Because it is definitely shoved down your throats that social media is the way to get, people looking at your work. It's how to get seen. Some people got their dream jobs because someone found them on social media. And I mean, we had a couple projects for other classes that were social media projects where you had to make a certain amount of pieces and post them like every day of the week or like once a week for the whole semester or stuff like that. But there wasn't really anything besides saying just post it.
Yeah, there was no strategy, there was no structure.
How to like wrangle the algorithm. Do hashtags even work? Like, what time do you post stuff? Where do you post to?
Like how to optimize for each platform too.
Yes.
Like these are all things, I know it's a lot of trial and error, but I mean, other people have tried and errored, and I would have loved that insight.
Yeah.
I
I guess there was a point, like in my senior year, we were doing another social media project, and it was kind of mentioned that like social media is dying anyways. So is it even worth doing this project? We did it anyways, and it was a fun project. But there was kind of that back and forth of like, is social media worth it? Is it dying? And then the other half is like, if you don't have social media, your career will die. Like it's no one could seem to agree.
Yeah, and I think that's like probably a pretty big difference in generation because we grew up following our favorite artists and like seeing them on YouTube and all these things, and that's how we discovered our favorite artists.
Yeah.
And I think the generations before us actually met these people or found them in galleries or like through friend of a friend or kind of like more natural people to person networking and marketing. And this is just speaking out of assumption and from what other people told me who are older, but it's different. Like that's how we found people, and I guess I just assume that's how I would be found, by people who wanted to see the work that I do.
Yeah.
And it's so hard without direction to find the tips and tricks that actually work on social media. So that as a class would have been the bee's knees.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Because that could have helped a lot of people get a jump start. If you're not good with like social interactions, so you're not good at going out and networking with people or like speaking face to face, having an online presence like that kind of does some of the work for you.
Oh yeah, it does the heavy lifting.
It does.
Of an introduction.
I mean, that's where like I found all of my favorite artists. Like you said, like to this day, I'm still finding people I'm just scrolling through and I see some stuff and I'm like, this is amazing stuff. I would have never known about you because you live in like Germany or like somewhere far away. I would have never seen you.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
it wasn't for this. And like, how did your stuff get on my page? How did you know?
Yeah.
Like, how did you win the algorithm to find me?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
Could have been a class.
It could have been. It could have been a whole class. Because there's definitely plenty of classes we had that could have been like 5 classes. So
absolutely.
Just spend more time on the topic, please.
Please, I beg. It's like those projects, those like social media projects were helpful, but there's so many facets to what social media, the beast of social media, what it is now. We needed a whole semester to dive into that and build a plan for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because like it was hard to post consistently while being in school.
Yeah.
Because some of your projects you weren't really proud of and you couldn't really post all of it.
Or like the format just wasn't right for it.
Right. So, yeah.
And those social media projects also were so apparent when you were doing them. Like, it was so funny on our feeds. I'd be like, oh, they're doing the social media project. Because it'd be like a series of images or pieces that were like related some way. And they were posted every single day. And then they wouldn't post for like a week. And I'm like, yeah, it was the social media project. And I didn't notice any rise in like engagement from it either. They didn't. If anything, those ones got like the least amount of likes. Yeah, and I couldn't tell you why because I never learned. So,
like I've been posting like some promotional stuff, and I was trying to do it like every day for like the week prior or something. It was like 7 likes. Okay, that's a blow.
What's so defeating?
That's a blow.
Even though like the numbers don't matter, but they also do.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get caught up in them, but also when you're trying to make a business with it, the numbers do matter.
Yeah.
Like that is who you're reaching, and if you're not reaching anybody, then that's a problem that needs to be fixed, or else nothing's gonna come from it.
Yeah. Those problems could have been addressed in a class.
Yeah.
Please, if any art professional professors are listening to this, do that.
Please.
But for the next class, I think a good segue, since we kind of mentioned it, a networking class. Literally how to network person to person class. And forcing us to grow out of our awkward art kid selves and actually talk to professionals like adults.
Yeah.
And present yourself and your work in a way that proves that, yes, I would love to work with this person. Because that is a skill. That is not something that some people are born with that, that charisma and ability to talk well. But most people have to work at it. And that could be a class. It should have been a class.
Easily.
Because, especially in the specificities of art school, there were a lot of awkward social cues, social norms that were not real world. And you don't know unless you've gone. Just how odd everyone is. And I say that so lovingly.
In the best way.
I say that so lovingly.
Yeah.
But that environment, that for me, did not facilitate an ability for me to be able to talk about my work well and make those connections well.
Yeah.
So,
like, there should have been, because something I'm struggling with that's along those lines is elevator pitches.
Yes.
I hate elevator pitches because I was never taught, well, for my video game, when somebody asks me, oh, what's your video game about? As the creator of a large scale project, it is so hard if you don't have an elevator pitch to try to describe to somebody what it is without talking for like 20 minutes. Because it's like, how much information do you give? Because you have all of it in your head. You have all the spoilers, you have all the secrets, but you also have all the basic stuff, and it's hard to tell, like, what do I say that will interest them without giving away anything that will be only like 3 sentences.
Yeah.
It's so hard to take something that's so large to you and narrow it down to something so small for someone to
digest.
Exactly. And I think I did an elevator pitch like like real elevator pitch like twice at school the whole time.
Yeah, that feels right.
And that was like when you were creating a story from scratch. Like you were at the beginning. So like the elevator pitch was kind of all you knew anyways.
Yeah.
That's what was already in your
premise.
head.
Yeah.
They never taught you like, okay, you have this big thing, narrow it down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would have liked that because I talked to somebody at my partner's work like a couple months ago, and they were asking about the video game because they're all video game people, and I couldn't really give a good elevator pitch. He's like, next time I see you, I need an elevator pitch because like you need to figure that out. I'm like, I know, I know, I'm sorry. Like when you put on the spot, you need to be able to get those words.
Yeah, and not just for projects. I feel like networking is an elevator pitch for yourself.
Honestly.
Like, how do you encapsulate all of your personality, all the work that you do, all the professional things that comprise your career? How do you fit that into a couple sentences and make meaningful connections?
Yeah, what is gonna like get their attention?
Yeah. I've just been genuine, and that's all I've done. But I wish there was a class on it. Yeah. So that's number 2.
Yeah.
That's the second class I wish was a thing. Networking. The big old
networking.
Yeah. Beast.
And something I wish we had for probably like the first semester senior year was job searching.
Yes.
Job searching. And like it could be a class that grows with the times because I think that's necessary. But also when you graduate, for the most part, this could just be our school experience, but it doesn't seem like it's just our school experience. There isn't a lot of info. It's kind of like you are just kind of released and you're told to just figure it out.
Yeah.
Then you go to job search and it's just like the Wild West. It's terrifying.
It's a bizarre land. And like there were career services. This wasn't a class, but like a school office that I went to, I met with, like they talked me through my resume and all that stuff, which was super helpful, but it was not, it could have been a class. It should have been a class because being able to succinctly be like, this is my cover letter, this is my resume, this is what I've done, this is what I want to do, and finding matches to jobs. Like if I had been able to dedicate a full class my first semester of senior year, like you said, to job searching, I probably would have gone out of school with a job.
Yeah.
That's ultimately the goal.
Yeah.
To graduate art school and then go into an art job.
Yeah.
At least for me, that was my goal. So I think having that structure very smart.
It would have been nice. Because I mean, like at least right now, the way that the job economy is, you are fighting alongside people that have been in the art world, have been doing these jobs for 13, I just saw like one that said 13, but like 10 plus years.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for a minute now. Like they're seniors.
Yeah, and they can't find jobs. So like they might be fighting for some of the jobs you're looking at because
entry level.
Because that's what they can get.
Yeah.
And then entry level is not even entry level. Like it's a whole Yeah. It's kind of, I wish they had taught you kind of the same thing with like the elevator pitch, how to, make yourself interesting when you're networking with people in person. Also, how do you make yourself sound interesting on a bland job application?
Yeah.
Because you can't pretty up your resume like they told us in class. Your resume should look like a stale doctor's office. Like, just have the words.
Let your words be engaging and not the formatting.
Yeah, don't make it.
Because I got messed up over the resume I submitted after I first graduated. So I was like, I can decorate it with all my personal branding and all this stuff. A lot of the times, they have, I don't know if it's AI or something, scan and look for words, and then they filter the resume through those, and my resume was not searchable like through those engines, so most of the time it got tossed in the trash. I never heard anything back because it was formatted incorrectly. This is something I could have told you in this class.
Well, what's kind of crazy is well, I was told to do that in one of my classes.
Right.
Like, I was told to put your picture and make it look like your stuff. So I had, like, my logo overlaid in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I had, like, my picture on it. Like, there was a lot going on, but I was like, this definitely looks like my stuff. Like, when you see it, you know it's me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way anyone would have ever seen it anyways.
Yeah.
If you're going in person, maybe. But most of the time, they don't really care.
Yeah.
So that would have been nice. Just because we did the resume, we did like the CV and the cover letter, but that was for a singular class. It would have been nice to have like what comes after.
Yeah.
Just the job searching part of it.
Mm-hmm. And this class is kind of tied with some of the other ones. You just made me think of this.
Mm-hmm.
The next next class, I wish was a thing, was building your brand and portfolio. Like that, also having that be your senior year, so you're set up for success after graduation. Like building a brand, and that's tied in with social media, that's tied in with finding a job, because you really have to build a brand for yourself to get a creative job. It feels like
you have to be, not you have to be unique, but you have to, the way you present yourself needs to speak to who you are, and that's what your brand does.
Exactly. And like being taught how to build a brand, not just for a client, but for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And because like if it's for a client, you can step back and be like, oh, this is exactly what you are. But for yourself, it takes a little more discipline.
Soul searching.
Yeah, exactly. So if that was a class, that would have been super helpful. Humble opinion. So I've rebranded at least 4 times in the past like 2 years. And I mean, trying what works, I guess, but
yeah. It's not a bad thing to rebrand.
No, not at all. Oh, power of the pivot. I will never stop talking about that.
Yeah.
Kidding, I had to. I have to. Continually.
But it's also because like you're also growing.
Exactly.
So your brand can grow with you and it can change with you.
Exactly.
But like, wish we'd known how to do that. Because you kind of have that in like your graphic design classes. Because sometimes they're like, do stuff for yourself.
Personal brand. Like that was a project I had.
Yeah. But it's like a single project, not a class diving into it.
Yeah.
Which would have been very nice.
It would have been. I think it would have set us up for success after. And I think that's the general summary of what we had wished was in our art school classes, was things that were targeted for success after the fact.
Yeah.
That feels like the general theme for at least our experiences.
Because like you in art school, you're going to get art classes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
You're going to make stuff.
Yeah. But it's, there's not as much information for the life stuff. You got the art, you need the life. I wish there was a bit more of a balance. Because it really felt like it was like 80-20.
I agree. We're going to jump into our life and art updates. Yeah. Peyton, you can go first.
So I'm going to do a bit of a show and tell if you're on YouTube or any other visual platform you'll see. I am actually getting the motivation and energy to jump back into traditional media after finally getting the podcast out, and all my energy was going towards that and like preparing for Print Cooking Friday. So now that that's over and there's a bit of a breather, I've been prepping for a lino cut. I hope you can see it fine on the camera. This is what she looks like.
She's so pretty.
For those that can't see it, it's a skull with like a crown of spikes,
bones.
Yeah, coming out of it, like a sigil at the top. Basically, it's the like enlarged version of the head of the Lich that I did for my ABC D&D poster.
Hey.
So most of the stuff I did for that poster it's supposed to look like it was done like traditional ink, and that like it might have been like a block print or something. So I couldn't think of any new original ideas, so I was like, why don't I just go back to the stuff that I already liked?
Yeah, I mean, you can make block prints for all of those.
I
They're
want
so
to.
good.
I think it'd be so fun because they were so fun to
much
make,
fun.
anyways.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so much fun. I probably will because like people when they come to the Freaking Fridays, they look at the poster and they're like, "Wow, this is crazy! I know all these D&D monsters," and they're like, "See ya." So I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe if I had smaller format and like they're like, "Oh, I really like the like purple worm," and I'm like, "Oh, guess what? I have a small print of
Guess what? You can buy it now for 3 installments of $14.99.
3 installments.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to get back to like feeling the art under my fingertips.
Yes.
I feel like that's the best detox when you're losing a bit of creative momentum. It's just like pick up tangible pencil and paper and just go at it.
Go paint something.
Just slather stuff on something else and it'll turn into something.
And then
you'll feel good.
You'll feel nice.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Which is amazing. Okay, so I've started like this big painting a few weeks ago, but I haven't touched it. But I do love the traditional stuff. I haven't been doing it. I've been really focusing on some product photography for my store and for this tarot deck and all the shirts that coincide with it. So getting those all nice and pretty, so I can like post them and have people see. Oh, look, this is something beautiful.
You look crazy professional. So
thank you.
They look very nice.
Thank you. But I'm still working on that book that I talked about last episode, I think, or 2 episodes ago. One of them. So I'm still working on that. I wrote 3 whole sentences this morning, so I mean, I'm basically done.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah, but that's it as far as my projects go at the moment.
Yeah. And since we have kind of a lull in our like big announcements for our Life and Art update, we thought we would kind of give some information on big art happenings that are happening around us. Maybe we'll branch out further. Yeah. But Columbus is such a good hub for the art community. It's wonderful for artists. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on here over the summer. So today we're talking about the Columbus Arts Festival. I think it's like the biggest art thing that happens in Columbus.
If not the biggest one of.
Yeah.
Thousands of people come to this thing.
It's huge. I have yet to go to it.
I've gone like 3 times.
Yeah. But just some like basic details about it. This is the 62nd year of the Columbus Arts Festival. For 2024, it's going to be June 7th to the 9th, around like 11 to 10, and then like shorter on the Sunday. There's going to be over 250 visual artists, and they are closed now, but for next year's, if you're interested in getting a booth, you can apply for one. They are a bit pricey, but if you can afford it or you want to do it, they usually start announcing it. I think I saw them in like February, maybe earlier than February. A lot of the stuff that happens in the summer, like summer art festivals, because they tend to get so much foot traffic, it's very competitive. So if you're interested in doing anything that's in the summer, like a fair or a show, most of those will start posting their applications like in the winter. Yeah. Which is something we had to learn the hard way a couple years ago. They don't just wait until like a couple months before. So
you gotta plan ahead.
You do. Yeah, there's gonna be like live performances and music. There's a bunch of food, and it's free to go.
It's so much fun. I will say the past few years that I've went, it has been very, very toasty outside. So I recommend sunscreen. Perhaps even one of those sun umbrellas if you are so inclined. Bring a water bottle. There's so much good food there, though. Like, if you want to buy a fun drink, that's also cool, too. But walking around and talking with all of these people is so much fun, and you can network. Or like, just enjoy being around cool people who make cool things.
Yeah. Is it at the fairgrounds?
I don't think so. They kind of take over a few streets of downtown by the Scioto Mile.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if it's the fairgrounds, there's like no tree coverage, so.
Oh yeah, there's no tree coverage.
Oh, okay.
So just plan to
don't get burned. Don't get burned like I did 2 days ago. Yeah. I'm at a music festival and I got really bad sunscreen and now I'm burned like a Pop-Tart.
Ew, Pop-Tart.
I got like the red. Yoink.
What red?
Strawberry.
Oh, like a strawberry Pop-Tart. Okay, so I only ate the s'mores Pop-Tarts as a kid, so
those are really good ones. The cookies and cream, though,
they're good.
Those ones are good.
Yeah.
I had too many dessert Pop-Tarts for breakfast. Tristan makes fun of me for it.
That's okay. I mean,
he's like, "This is a dessert."
So
and I'm like, "And
so
I'm eating something."
Other people eat pastries, so
exactly.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine.
This one sort of has real fruit in it, probably.
So,
it tastes like fruit.
So it counts.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's the Columbus Arts Festival. And also we just learned that 400 Studios, where we are, 400 Square, is going to be open to the public during it too.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie and I will not be in town, but come see all the other cool artists that we share walls with and see all the artists that are going to be tabling and just you'll meet people because it looks like a lot of fun.
It looks like so much fun.
1 year I'll go.
Yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have for life and art updates. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, I'll just mention it now so I don't mention it later. If you go to the description, you'll see job board. And that is a link to our LinkedIn group where we post jobs because it's hard out there and we're here to help you find those things that might be a little bit hard to find.
Exactly.
So go check it out if you're on the job search. Now we're good.
Beautiful.
Woo!
Beautiful. Now we're talking about the classes the public wishes. Yeah.
You guys told us about.
Yeah.
The public. There are people.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Let me pull them up. Okay, so the first one I have here is from our good friend Jason. He says he wished there were more required drawing classes, anatomy, perspective, composition, etc. And I agree.
Yes.
I didn't take a single anatomy course.
None?
None.
None?
I took, like, the live drawing, but no anatomy.
Oh. I guess, yeah, I wasn't... I took an illustrated figure drawing class.
Yeah.
Does that count?
I feel like that's just...
class? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does. Because
like,
you're
I want to know
looking
the
at
muscles.
Exactly. You know the stuff on the outside. You don't know the stuff on the inside.
Yeah.
I took... Well, we had a class that wasn't meant to be perspective, but it was. And it was great. And then I took an actual perspective class, and it sucked because I already knew everything. It was such a... No offense to the professor, but it was not a great use of my time.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a single thing I learned that was new to me. But it was required because that was the perspective class that was required for everybody. So we kind of just had an interesting, like, setup with our classes. But, and then composition. You weren't taught it, but you were told to do it.
Yeah, it was kind of expected in every class. And, like, they did touch on it on every class. Like, ooh, you should have your composition like this, or like this, or like this. Or, like, talked about the rule of thirds, or, like, that stuff, and leading lines. Like, there were presentations on composition. But, like, a whole class dedicated to composition would have been lovely.
Because that's what makes your pieces pop. Like, composition arguably is, like, for me, I think, at least in my stuff, I find it to be the most important part of it all.
I mean, it's the building blocks of every single piece that you do.
If the layout looks bad, doesn't matter how cool the imagery is.
Yeah.
There's a chance people are just not going to look at it because it's not appealing to the eye.
Right. So.
Yeah, and it was kind of that, like you said, you would, freshman year you're doing stuff and they're like, your composition's off, here's how you fix it. Not like telling you how to do it beforehand, kind of making you learn from mistakes instead of knowing what to fix before you got there. I don't know.
Yeah. So I agree, Jason.
Yes.
That's a great idea,
Jason. Love you. Okay. And then from our friend Josiah, we have visual development.
But I loved that.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Because that's a career I want to get into eventually. It is. I ended up talking with somebody who is a professional 3D visual developer, and he also wanted to be a visual developer or concept artist and stuff when he was our age.
I hit the wall, sorry y'all.
But he wanted to do it when he was our age, and it took him 30 years to
oh my
get
god.
there. And he's like, yeah, it's one of those fields that it's hard to get into, and it takes years to get into it, and it probably wouldn't be so hard to get into if you were taught more about it.
Yeah.
And maybe you had like a stronger visual development portfolio to get you there. Because me and Josiah were in many classes together. He's a good friend. We both kind of had the same goals for like the future.
Yeah.
And the biggest gripe we had was there was not a single visual development class at that school. Not a single one.
Which is so wild because that's such a big field,
It's what the majority of my friends in the illustration department wanted to do. Like the second we got to portfolio and capstone at the very end, where you sort of had leeway. Well, obviously capstone you did, but everyone was just doing visual development because we finally could.
Yeah,
we could finally get graded and told like how to fix things for the first time.
Which is bizarre.
It
happened in your senior year.
Yeah. So I didn't have a portfolio full of the stuff that I wanted to show off to get these jobs because there was no opportunity for it. I mean, you had your like character design class, but that was like a single class. And there's like single projects that might have led to it, but it's more of like you're given a topic instead of like, there wasn't a lot of free reign with it. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know, what you hear about in the field where it's like, here's an idea, go draw 1 million of it and then we'll pick from it, There wasn't any of that. It was kind of like, here's an idea, do the final product.
Yeah.
Which is not, it just isn't visual development. So I
So
agree
that
with
would
you.
have been a great class.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Gosh, I could go on forever about it. In a similar context, our friend Sammy said concept art classes. The similarities and differences between concept art and visual development, they're not very drastic changes between the two. But I saw there was a post on Reddit and someone was asking what is the difference between the two because they're looking at going into it for school. And someone said that visual development is the forest, concept art is the trees. Which is
so beautiful.
So poetic. And I did because I did look it up to see the difference kind of between the two. Visual development and concept art can be described in that way, or visual development is more animated films and shows, whereas concept art can be linked more towards games and live action. It really varies, but I think the best description is visual development is a larger picture, and it's going for like an idea and a feeling, whereas concept art is giving you like more details. So
yeah, more specific, and then going from broad to specific.
Yeah,
essentially. That would have been great to know the difference.
Exactly.
In a class.
Because I said forever I wanted to be a concept artist until like
senior year, and then I started like talking to other people and learning the differences, and I'm like, oh no, I want to be a visual developer.
Yeah.
So that's what I like call myself, because I mean that's just what I do.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have like to kind of know the title for yourself. Wish I could have found that out through like, I don't know, a more professional setting where I could have really learned the difference between the two. But and in that same sense, like learning how to get those jobs.
Yeah.
Because people do say that it's super hard to get into those careers. So I agree with you, Sammy, very much for the concept art one. And I agree with Josiah for the visual development.
Yeah, both
very much
would have been great.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because there really was literally nothing. Okay, and then our last one is from Tyler. And they said digital painting courses, more digital techniques.
I agree wholeheartedly, Tyler. I think all of the shading that I did or the digital painting that I did was all like just guesswork. Because so before art school I hadn't touched anything digital. I didn't know anything Adobe, didn't have an iPad, didn't have any of that. It was just drawing with pencil, which is great. And painting with actual paint. But it is a very different skill to do it digitally, and I was just kind of thrown to the wolves. So I think it would have been great if we had a foundational, this is how you do this to get this effect, or to get this effect that you see in like the concept art and visual development, like beautiful pieces that you see, these illustrations that are just lovely.
And it is kind of wild that that isn't a class that's taught. Like you're taught digital techniques for like Adobe software,
like how to use the software.
Yeah, and it's more of like more really touching on vector. I never learned anything about a software that involved digital painting besides sort of Photoshop.
Yeah, sort of.
But like you weren't taught the painting aspect of it.
No.
It's not like you were taught Procreate or the difference between brushes and the different settings, and you know, you did learn the difference of like layers, but not all of them. True. I definitely just like click through them and be like, sure, this one's nice. I couldn't tell you what makes it what it is. Yeah, that would have been very nice, because that is my biggest gripe with doing stuff digitally. I find that I get very frustrated because I don't know those techniques and I can't figure them out. They're so hard to just like pick up.
I think it might have been assumed that traditional painting, those technical skills would have transferred pretty easily to digital painting, and no. I mean, your eye stays the same, but it doesn't layer with paint. Like you can't pick up, well, you can, but it's hard to pick up colors digitally. You have to like find it's different.
You're working with pixels. It's a different medium. It should be its own thing.
Agreed.
So thank you, Tyler. We very, very much agree.
Yeah.
I refuse to digitally paint for that reason.
I try, and it looks just kind of muddy sometimes.
I'll just stick to my block colors. Just get the idea across and be done with it.
Communicate.
Yeah.
So one last thing before we hit the road, hit the hay, we want to have y'all on. We want to hear people's opinions about their art school experiences, or their school experiences, or after anything. We have a lot of ideas for episodes, but if you have an idea that you think you're just so passionate about and would fit within the frame, we're going to have a form for interest level to be guests on our podcast. So if that sounds interesting to you, we're going to have a form up here soon. But if we don't have that, DM us. Yeah, slide into the DMs or email us if you're feeling a little more profesh today. Oh my god, that sounded so dorky. Anyway, anywho.
Yeah, we want to have you on. We want this podcast to not just be like the two of us recounting experiences. We want it to be a resource.
Yes.
And I think the best way for that is to have more people come onto the show with their own experiences, because they might have other point of views or more like instances of working in, you know, whatever we're talking about. So
yeah, like our differences should be celebrated.
Yes.
And we have a pretty while we have differences in our own experiences, we are pretty similar in a lot of the ways that we are and operate.
Yeah.
So we want to have different perspectives on. We want to know what art school is for all of the people that go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So if you want to be a part of that, DM us or check out the forum. Hopefully it should be in the description. So I'd check there.
yeah,
But it'll be fine.
yeah,
You can reach us wherever.
yeah. Well, thanks for operating with us.
This was Art School Dissections. My name is Peyton Hunt.
And I'm Maddie Gampart.
Take care of your guts.
And make something cool.
Or bad.
Bye. The Valley Girl nose that just came out of me.
Oh.